So welcome everybody to the talk about building the DevOps culture across Siemens. So here you see the city Zug in Switzerland. That's where the journey started with using GitLab and pushing and starting that journey across Siemens. Oh. A few words about myself. I'm an electrical engineer. I've with Siemens since about 15 years. Did a lot of electrical engineering in the past, computer engineering. So built a little CPU module similar to Raspberry Pi. Did product line engineering and contributed to several product lines within building technologies. So you might be an indirect user of software I've written if you're using office buildings, maybe not during that time, but maybe when you go back at work. So that's me. So let's I've picked here a little sentence from John Gall. So a lot of systems start simple and evolve over time. So this happened for code.siemens.com, for GitLab, for a lot of things. So in many cases, you might end up in difficulties if you start too complex in the beginning. So you will see during the talk the commonality we have with our code story and GitLab. So a few words about Siemens. Werner von Siemens founded together with Johann Georg Halske Siemens in 1847. That's, by the way, the year of birth from Thomas Alva Edison. So during that time, people like Jules Verne or Karl Marx lived. So pretty much an amazing time with a lot of changes ongoing. So they started with a very small machine shop in a backyard in Berlin. As he supported the dwelling, Werner von Siemens, as an assistant, he had to go to jail, and this was also the place where he worked on galvanic galvanization topics. So he filed his first patent in the jail. He was allowed to have a little lab there. And also electrical car was built already in 1905. So there have been Zeppelin or transatlantic transmission lines for communications. So he was a really great inventor and also with a social responsibility, also during these early days for his employees. So it was small. Nowadays we're a big company with about 385,000 employees. We're working in several different domains and primarily business-to-business focus. So you all might be customers of Siemens, but you're not aware of. So you can imagine in power generation or rail automation or factory automation, building controls, and so on. Things should just work. So you don't have direct end user interfaces in most cases. Maybe the products you might have recognized have been in the medical area. So the washing machines do not belong any longer to Siemens. So a lot of people relate us to the washing machines. They have still the brand. However, the Siemens core businesses are focused on industrial, electrical, and digital services. We have a lot of developers. You can imagine in all those special domains we face. Usually the products run for over 10 years or so, especially in infrastructure area. So it's not short-living software pieces in most time, long-living software. And as you can imagine, as like every large company, There might be some silos inside the company, also caused by the different domains and focuses we have. So, yeah, a great company to work of if you are an engineer by heart. So the GitLab story, GitLab and Siemens is code.siemens.com. So that's the platform we've established, and I'll go through this and tell you a little bit how we started with this. So in 2013, also according to GitLab, to Gall's law, GitLab was quite a simple system. So as you can see from architectural point of view, there was a unicorn Rails app having GitLab and ScaleUp as a backend, a very simple web interface, 2 people working on this under MIT licensed. The cool thing, which was for us very important, to have a developer self-service, so developers could just log in with their credentials and start creating repos without interacting with a system administrator. So this was one of the key elements for us during that time. So in 2013, as you can imagine, with that amount of software and different domains we have within Siemens, we had a huge variety of developer tooling in-house. Of course, we had some Git users, we have kernel upstream hackers, we have web front-end developers all over in different technology stacks and so on. We had no company-wide source code hosting during that time. So it was sometime kind of a pain also to collaborate across the organizations easily. And also based on the history, you can imagine we have code bases that run over a very, very, very long time. So how the journey started, as we've been evaluating what kind of GitLab platform to be used for my team, where we primarily worked with Linux kernel, U-boot bootloader, and so on, in the embedded area with a lot of open source software. We've created that little platform for us with a little setup so that we can easily extend also with the corporate sign-in and all those things. And I had, during that time in 2014, I had a little dream to say, hey, would be cool to have a Siemens-wide solution, code.siemens.com. And my colleague then just registered the name and thought, hey, we can make it if we have a central sponsorship. And I talked a lot with many people also across the organization about this topic. And instead of talking a lot and trying to convince all the people across the organization to do so, we just did it. And so there's, you might know the concept of asking for forgiveness. That's what we did. We just started with a platform with the people that are committed to work during the evenings to make it happen and to provide an awesome collaboration platform for the people. So the name was, of course, very important. With code.siemens.com, people will be able to identify themselves also with the platform name. Out of I've made a little head during my vacation. A designer made a little icon so we can put it as a favicon on our coding platform, for example. We had a lot of people within the company that engaged and contributed to our activity, and of course also management and senior management have recognized that this is the way to go. So we ended then up, of course, with a let's say, bottom-up approach and top-down support, which is ideal to really bring things, to make things happen. The team. So from my perspective, one would say one of the most important thing, especially if you're in such a heterogeneous and distributed environment, to have a very strong collaborative people within a team that is managing such a platform. So walk the talk people that are familiar with all the technical topics around using the platform, that are, I would say, passionate coders and developers, and especially have experience also in open source contributions and or as maintain. So this is especially important, so that also to drive the cultural change and on how we collaborate on code via social coding platform, as GitLab that we are using. And of course, we have no other platform. We are using the platform to build the platform. The vision was clear at the very early beginning. So collaborate on code and share within minutes. So in the past, we had a lot of setup time to collaborate across organizations and so on, also for little hackathons or prototypes. And nowadays, all those things are super easy possible, and people should also become much more responsible for the things they're doing. So the culture within Siemens is heavily supporting also the ownership of individuals, and so we set also the foundation with this agile approach and platform for future business models, of course. So as I said, a lot of things start simple, and during the time when Kamil made the first GitLab CI runner release, we thought, hey, we have to provide this to all our people. And so we started with this little junkyard compute farm here to provide GitLab CI for the masses during the early days, to increase adoption and compile Linux kernels and all those things in a very large amount. Of course, it doesn't look like this anymore today. You can imagine today we have about 60,000 CI jobs executed per day. So much more sophisticated setup, also using NixOS, for example, as an underneath operating system, Docker container only, and so on. Yeah, but having happy developers that are able to use those things also in early phases was always super important for us. So we had a very good feedback culture within the company. We also took other roads in regard of help desk. So we don't have a phone, a first level, second, third level support. We decided to really being customer orientated. So for developers, from developers. So all the core team members are developers. They know the things. They can talk and interact with the community on an eye level. So they're familiar with all the different technology stacks we are using within the company. So we, of course, started also with a documentation portal in-house, so that a lot of information can be seen there already. Since the beginning, we have our roadmap and our issue tracker to manage the platform visible for all the people within Siemens. So this is really beneficial, so people can interact directly with us on problems, on new feature requests, whatever thing. So we have a very open and transparent communication there with the developer community. So as we are keen to provide a great developer experience for all our people. Beside of this, we also have an internal social network. So here we have nearly 3,000 people. So that's awesome to see. Nowadays, a lot of developers not belonging to the core team, for example, or to the social coding ambassador circle we've established around the core team, are helping each other. And we achieved a very nice community. So people are supporting each other on several questions and topics across the company. So that's amazing from my perspective. Great. I'm a big fan of the people that are contributing and collaborating across the organization. So upstream first, open source, of course, a super important topic for us. And also during the early days, we've decided to go for upstream first approach. So not patching our GitLab installation. If we need additional features, we're going to provide them upstream first and deploy them later on. So we had did a lot of contributions to GitLab already. Several people working on behalf of us have become MVPs for GitLab releases. So maybe just a few things to mention. We've implemented the OpenID Connect provider within GitLab, contributed to the container registry authentication authorization concepts. We've implemented signed commits for GPG and X509, the group runners functionality, and much more. So it's a lot of fun also to contribute to GitLab, and important for us also, as we have sometimes very special needs, to being able to contribute. And thank you, GitLab, for collaborating that nice with us. Also related to the goals law, start simple and scale when needed. We had a single machine until 20,000 users on our platform, and evolved over time to a high availability setup. Of course, we had a clear picture on how we're going to separate the application and how we're going to scale. However, at the very early beginning, the non-functional requirements and also during the first 2 years were much more important for us. So having proper security measures in place, having reliability, maintainability, and all those things in place. So proper monitoring, log aggregation, crash reporting, all those things, of course, took a lot of time as well, and we prepared in the meantime to scale it up to a high availability system. So personally, I would say Kubernetes and all those things, of course, those are nice, and we like them a lot. But at the end, it is the most important thing to provide a reliable and professional and secure service to your developers, and have heavy developers all over, instead of using the fancy technology that might have some challenges you will recognize later when introducing. So starting simple and become complex. That's how it worked here. Yes, and today, as you can see, so this is a little overview of the GitLab architecture. Nowadays, much more complex architecture. GitLab is growing to 1,200 employees within Siemens. They have code.siemens.com well established. Collaborate across organization is possible. Shadow IT also reduced significantly. So in the past, we had some issues in regard of this, and I'm very, very happy to see that the usage of JIT and CI/CD is very, very widely adopted across the company. So some numbers nowadays, as you can see, we have, of course, if you look at the user numbers, we have some super sophisticated power user. We have people that just started to learn coding. Also related, if you see the numbers, maybe the CI builds, I've updated that number. Just within that half year, we had an additional 30 million builds or so. At the moment, it's about 60,000 builds per day that are executed on the platform, and this makes me really happy to see that, that this is widely adopted, continuous integration testing and so on. And we have a little team, 9 core team members. So maybe the key takeaway is to give you, it's important to have a clear strategy and being transparent on this. This was very well received by the community across the company, and with the 4 developers from developers, and also the team set up where we really have people that are developers. We're able to focus on our customers, the developers, and this is a super important thing to provide a reliable system and increase developer happiness across the organization. For open source, it's a give and take. It's we are also maintaining, for example, Python GitLab, a tool we're using, a library we're using widely for automation tasks and so on. And yeah, finally, as you might all know, it's about people and passion. Thank you. So now we have still a few minutes left for some questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Roger, for your presentation. Yeah, as Roger mentioned, we now have a few minutes left for the Q&A. So I already put it in the chat. If you have questions or input for Roger on the DevOps journey or DevOps culture journey of Siemens, feel free to use the Q&A tab and let us know. Thank you very much. As far as I can see, I have 3 questions now. So I would say let's go into those first. The first question is, why was it important for you to have an open source based platform?
We have a very, very wide range of technologies that we have in use within the company. And as I've been working a lot on embedded Linux systems and with open source technology, so it was kind of the normal for me. If we have a functionality that is missing, that we are going to contribute it. So to make the open source solution, to improve the open source solution, give something back to the community, and then have a perfect fit then also for our specific environment. So you can imagine with our products, we're contributing for the 2038 problem on Linux kernel and glibc and the many different areas to fulfill specific needs we have.
No, thank you for your answer. I'm jumping to the next question already. How many old CSV systems were deprecated after code.siemens.com was going across the organization?
I do not have concrete numbers, but I can tell you, I guess, also based on the history we have, I would say every version control system that is available on this planet is or was in use within Siemens. A lot of people migrated from SVN or for ClearCase to Git and so on. So we have several different ways of migrations. So sorry for not providing concrete numbers, not everybody telling me exactly about their migration and so on.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I think it was a lot. So I'm going to the next question. How are you able to handle such a large user base with this little team?
I would say with the developer self-service. So developers are not regular office PC users working with Excel and so on. They're able to read all those things and to figure out things. And of course, also with with a very powerful team that is able to answer all the questions in a very fast way. Usually we do improve the documentation if a question arises, and so next time we just paste the link to the FAQ or to the documentation to the community, so and really engage with the community. We've established a so-called social coding ambassador circle where we also have regular calls with the core team, so people that are very familiar with all the topics are also guiding people within their organization on using the platform and the tooling, and they are acting as multipliers as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think I have one more question left for the moment. Oh, there's another one. So let's go into this one first. How easy is it to configure CI/CD for a legacy product with long delivery cycles?
It depends.
I can imagine.
So, of course, in some areas, if you have a very complex product setups and so on, yeah, you need specific runners and build environments, maybe some special compiler tool suites and so on. So that's why we also have the option for all the people within Siemens to connect their own private runners, so they can really customize their build chain according to their needs. So yeah, it depends on the complexity of the product. Of course, it's not all the products within Siemens are built with code.siemens.com and CI/CD, and we see a rise in many areas that people are using more and more CI/CD and getting familiar with this. Also, let's say maybe more in classical areas where we're not working with those tools in the past.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I think also fits nice with the timing that we are running out of questions now. So thanks again for joining us, Roger. Thanks for your presentation and for giving these detailed answers for all the questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, actually. This was Roger Meier from Siemens with his presentation.